Nia Carter walked into that bank at 9:45 in the morning, rehearsing numbers the way some people rehearse prayers. She wore a navy suit, carried a leather folder, and had every credential a CEO could need to finalize a deal worth millions. But the woman at the reception desk saw something else. She saw doubt. She saw a problem that needed solving. And in front of a lobby full of witnesses, she made Nia prove she had the right to be treated like a human being. What that receptionist didn't know would cost her everything. Subscribe right now and tell me where you're watching from, because this story about dignity, power, and the price of prejudice will stay with you long after it ends. The morning air carried the scent of damp pavement and old leaves. Nia Carter pulled into the bank's parking lot at 9:45, her car humming to a stop beneath a maple tree whose branches hung low and bare. She sat for a moment, hands steady on the wheel, rehearsing numbers and signatures the way some people rehearsed prayers. The folder on her passenger seat held everything she needed: partnership agreements, financial projections, letters of intent. She had reviewed each document 3 times the night before, knowing that precision was armor in rooms that expected her to stumble. Nia felt calm. She had been calm through boardrooms, through acquisition negotiations, through moments when men twice her age had questioned her authority simply because they could. This was business. Just business. She checked her reflection in the rearview mirror. Navy suit, pearl earrings, hair pulled back in a way that suggested control without severity. She looked professional. She looked capable. She looked exactly how someone was supposed to look when they walked into a bank to finalize a deal worth millions. Nia stepped out of the car and locked it behind her. The town around her was quiet in the way small places could be quiet, a confidence that felt less welcoming than watchful. Buildings from another era lined the street, their facades polished but aging. People moved slowly here, greeting each other with easy familiarity. She walked towards the entrance, counting her steps without meaning to. The glass doors reflected her approach, and for a brief second she saw herself doubled, arriving and arriving. The lobby opened before her, bright and cold. Marble floors caught the overhead lights and threw them back in sharp angles. A line of tellers stood behind their stations, faces neutral and patient. A few customers waited in chairs near the window, flipping through magazines or checking their phones. Nia's eyes found the reception desk. A woman sat there, blonde hair styled in soft waves, hands folded neatly atop a keyboard. She wore a name tag that read, Evelyn Hale. Nia approached with measured steps. Her chest tightened just slightly, in the way it always did when she entered spaces that might not welcome her. "Good morning," Nia said. Her voice was clear. Evelyn looked up. She smiled, the kind of smile that showed teeth but nothing behind the eyes. "Good morning," Evelyn said. "How can I help you today?" "I'm here to meet with your branch manager," Nia said. "My name is Nia Carter. I have a 10 o'clock appointment regarding the Carter Lane Holdings partnership." Evelyn's smile remained, but something shifted in her expression. A flicker of doubt, or perhaps curiosity. Her eyes moved over Nia's face, then down to the folder in her hands. "Carter Lane Holdings," Evelyn said. She typed something into her computer, fingers light on the keys. "And you said you have an appointment?" "Yes, 10 o'clock. "With Mr. Reed directly?" "Yes." The silence stretched between them. Evelyn's fingers stopped moving. She glanced at her screen, then back at Nia. "I'm not seeing that here," Evelyn said. Nia felt the first small ache rise in her chest. She had learned to recognize this moment, the shift from service to scrutiny. "It was confirmed yesterday," Nia said. "By email and by phone." "I understand," Evelyn said. Her tone was patient, the way adults spoke to children who insisted they had done their homework. "But I'm not finding anything in the system. Can you tell me what this meeting is regarding?" "It's regarding a business partnership, a significant acquisition." "And you're representing Carter Lane Holdings?" "I am Carter Lane Holdings." Evelyn's breath caught. Just slightly. She blinked and her smile tightened. "I see," she said. "Well, Mr. Reed is quite busy this morning. Can I ask what documentation you have with you?" Nia placed the folder on the desk. She did not open it. "Everything is here," she said. "Financial statements, partnership agreements, and correspondence confirming today's meeting." Evelyn looked at the folder, but did not touch it. Her eyes found Nia's again, measuring something Nia could not name. "I'll need to verify this with Mr. Reed," Evelyn said. "In the meantime, do you have identification?" Nia's hands remained still. She had her driver's license, her business card, her credentials printed on paper and stored in leather. But she knew what this question meant. "Of course," Nia said. Evelyn took Nia's license with 2 fingers, holding it delicately as though it might be counterfeit. She glanced at the photo, then at Nia's face, then back at the photo. "Thank you," Evelyn said. She set the license down, but did not return it. "I'll just be a moment." Nia stood at the desk, aware of the lobby behind her. A man in a gray suit entered through the glass doors. He moved with the ease of someone who had walked this path many times before. Evelyn's entire posture changed. Her shoulders softened. Her smile widened into something genuine. "Mr. Thompson," Evelyn called. Her voice was warm. "Good morning." The man waved. "Morning, Evie. Beautiful day." "Isn't it? Go ahead and have a seat. I'll let Mr. Reed know you're here." Mr. Thompson walked past, Nia without looking at her. He settled into a chair near the window and pulled out his phone. Nia watched this exchange with the stillness she had learned to wear when anger rose hot and familiar. She said nothing. She did not move. She made herself small without shrinking, creating space for the moment to reveal itself. Evelyn returned to her computer. Her fingers moved quickly now, typing something with purpose. "Ms. Carter," Evelyn said, not looking up. "I'm going to need some additional documentation." "What kind of documentation?" "Well, given the nature of this meeting, we need to be careful. It's just policy." Nia felt the weight of that word. Policy. The excuse that sounded official and reasonable. The word that could hide anything. "What specifically do you need?" Nia asked. "Business registration. Proof of corporate identity. A second form of ID." "I have my business card. My attorney can provide—" "I'm afraid we need it now," Evelyn said. Her voice was still polite, still sweet, but underneath it was something hard. "For your safety? And ours?" Nia's chest tightened. She thought of the email confirmation sitting in her inbox. She thought of the phone call she had made yesterday, speaking directly to Marcus Reed's assistant. She thought of Mr. Thompson sitting comfortably in his chair, unquestioned and unburdened. "I can provide what you're asking," Nia said, "but I need to understand why this wasn't mentioned when the appointment was scheduled." Evelyn's smile flickered. "It's standard procedure, Miss Carter." "For everyone?" The question hung in the air between them. Evelyn stood. "I'm going to check with Mr. Reed now. If you could just wait here." She walked away from the desk, her heels clicking against the marble floor. Nia watched her disappear down a hallway. Nia's breath caught. She felt eyes on her back, the lobby watching without watching. She had been in rooms where her presence was questioned before. She had been in boardrooms where men spoke over her, in conferences where her title was doubted. But this felt different. This felt public. Nia did not sit. She stood at the desk with her folder in her hands, holding herself together with the same discipline that had carried her through every other moment when the world tried to reduce her. The clock above the teller line ticked forward. 9:57. Evelyn did not return. 10 o'clock came and went. Nia remained standing, her folder pressed against her side. The lobby continued its quiet rhythm. Tellers called numbers. Customers came and went. Mr. Thompson was escorted to an office by a young man in a vest who greeted him with a handshake. Nia felt her composure begin to crack at the edges. At 10:12, Evelyn returned. Behind her walked a man in his mid-40s, tall and broad-shouldered, with graying hair and a smile that suggested patience was his greatest virtue. He wore a suit that fit perfectly and shoes that had been polished that— Morning. "Miss Carter," he said, extending his hand. "I'm Marcus Reed. I'm so sorry for the wait." Nia shook his hand. His grip was firm but not aggressive, the handshake of someone who had practiced sincerity. "Thank you for seeing me," Nia said. "Of course. I understand there's been some confusion about your appointment." "There shouldn't be confusion. It was confirmed yesterday." Marcus's smile remained steady. "I'm sure it was. These things happen. Technology, you know." He gestured vaguely toward the reception desk. "Unfortunately, I have another commitment right now. Would it be possible for you to come back this afternoon?" Nia felt the humiliation spread through her chest. Not loud, not dramatic, but public in the way silence could be public. "I have the documentation here," Nia said. "This meeting was scheduled for 10 o'clock. I've driven 2 hours to be here." "I absolutely understand," Marcus said. His voice was kind, the way a teacher might speak to a student who had misunderstood the assignment. "But I'm afraid my schedule is quite full this morning. If you could return around 2, I'd be happy to sit down with you then." "Mr. Reed, this is a significant transaction. The partnership—" "I'm sure it is," Marcus said, speaking over her gently, "and we'll give it the attention it deserves this afternoon." His eyes flicked to Evelyn. Something passed between them, quick and unspoken. Nia's voice was steady. "I'd like to discuss this privately. Now." Marcus hesitated. The smile on his face faltered for just a moment. He glanced around the lobby, at the customers waiting, at the tellers watching. "Miss Carter," he said quietly, "let's not make this a scene." The words landed cold and precise. Nia heard the accusation hidden inside them, the suggestion that she was the problem, that her insistence was unreasonable, that her presence was somehow disruptive. She looked at Marcus, then at Evelyn, then at the lobby, where people had begun to turn their heads. Something shifted in her expression. Evelyn stepped forward, her voice rising just enough to carry across the marble floor. "I'm sorry, Miss Carter, but we're unable to serve you today." The words hung in the air. A few heads turned. A teller paused mid-transaction. Mr. Thompson looked up from his phone. Nia stood very still. She felt the heat rise in her face, the old, familiar burn of being seen and dismissed in the same breath. Marcus placed a hand on Evelyn's shoulder, his gesture both protective and controlling. "Evie, that's not necessary." "It's policy," Evelyn said. She looked at Nia with something close to satisfaction. "We have protocols for situations where documentation isn't provided." "I've provided my identification," Nia said. Her voice was calm, but underneath it was steel. "I've explained the purpose of my visit. I have a confirmed appointment." "And we'll be happy to help you," Marcus said, his tone soothing in a way that made Nia's skin crawl. "But not today. Please understand, we have to be careful." Nia felt the world narrow to this moment. This lobby, these faces, this denial dressed in politeness. She thought of every boardroom where she had been the only woman, the only black woman, where her credentials had been questioned and her authority doubted, where she had smiled through insults and proved herself over and over until exhaustion felt permanent. She thought of her company, the jobs her partnership would protect, the small businesses her lending initiative would support. She thought of the girl she had been, learning early that dignity sometimes had to be self-issued when the world refused to stamp it. "I'd like the denial in writing," Naya said. Evelyn blinked. "Excuse me? If you're refusing service, I'd like documentation, a formal letter explaining why." Evelyn's smile returned, sharper now. "That won't be necessary." "I believe it is." Marcus's hand tightened on Evelyn's shoulder. "Miss Carter, I think we're all getting a bit worked up. Let's take a breath and—" "I'm not worked up," Naya said. Her voice was quiet. "I'm being refused service at a bank where I had a confirmed appointment. I'm asking for documentation. That's reasonable." The lobby had gone quiet. Even the tellers had stopped pretending not to listen. Marcus's face flushed. "We're not refusing you. We're simply asking you to return later." "After I've been told you can't serve me today, after I've been questioned about my identity and my purpose, after I've watched another customer be welcomed without hesitation." "That's not—" Marcus stopped. His jaw tightened. "Ms. Carter, I think it's best if you leave now." Nia's breath caught. The dismissal was complete. Not hidden behind smiles or policy, just open and final. She looked around the lobby, at the faces that had turned away, at the silence that confirmed what she already knew. She was alone here. Nia stepped back from the desk. She did not cry. She did not shout. She held herself together with the same discipline that had carried her through every other moment when the world tried to break her. She walked toward the window and sat in a chair that felt too bright, too exposed. She placed her folder on her lap. Her hands were steady. Nia sat near the window, breathing slowly. The lobby moved around her, people coming and going with easy purpose. She watched Mr. Thompson finish his business and leave with a friendly wave to Evelyn. She felt invisible and hyper-visible at the same time. Her phone was in her hand before she realized she had reached for it. She dialed Tariq's number. He answered on the second ring. "Nia, everything okay?" "No," she said. Her voice was low. "I need you to make a call." "What happened?" She told him. Briefly, precisely, each detail a small wound reopening. Tariq swore under his breath. "I'm calling corporate now. And our attorney. Already on it. Nia, do you want me to come down there?" She felt tears threaten, but pushed them back. "No, I'm handling it." "You don't have to handle this alone." "I know." She ended the call and made another. This one to a number she had saved for emergencies. A voice answered, professional and direct. "This is Nia Carter," she said. "CEO of Carter Lane Holdings. I need to report an incident at the Riverside branch. Yes, I'll hold." The clock above the teller line ticked forward. 10:38. Behind her station, Lydia Santos watched Nia with growing discomfort. She had seen the exchange at the reception desk. She had heard Evelyn's voice rise. She had watched Mr. Thompson be waved through without question. She had seen this before. Not exactly this, but versions of it. Moments where some people were welcomed and others were questioned, where policy became flexible for some and rigid for others. Lydia's chest tightened. She thought of her own silence over the years. The times she had looked away rather than speak up. The times she had told herself it wasn't her place to interfere. Her eyes met Nia's across the lobby. Nia's face was composed, but Lydia saw something beneath it. Not anger, not even hurt, just a quiet, terrible understanding. Lydia looked away first, shame burning in her throat. Naya ended her second call and sat very still. She could leave now. She could walk out of this building and spare herself the last of their looks. She could finalize the deal remotely. She could protect herself from further humiliation. But leaving felt wrong. Leaving felt cowardice cloaked as dignity. She thought of all the people who would work in the businesses her partnership would fund, the families who would benefit from expanded lending, the community that needed this deal to succeed. She thought of Evelyn's smirk, Marcus's dismissal, the lobby's silence. Naya made a choice. She would stay. Not to punish them, but to confront what this moment revealed about the institution. If they wanted her gone, they would have to be explicit about it. The bank's main phone rang. Evelyn answered it with her practiced brightness. "Riverside Branch, this is Evelyn. How may I help you?" Her face changed. The color drained from her cheeks. Her eyes darted to Marcus's office. Yes, I understand. One moment." She stood and walked quickly down the hallway, her earlier confidence crumbling with each step. Marcus emerged from his office moments later, phone pressed to his ear. His face had gone pale. He listened without speaking, nodding occasionally, his free hand gripping the doorframe. When he ended the call, his eyes found Naya. Something had shifted. The power in the room had moved, sudden and absolute. Nia met his gaze without expression. She did not smile. She did not speak. She simply waited. Marcus retreated to his office, the phone still pressed against his ear. His earlier confidence had drained away, leaving only a pale anxiety that tightened the muscles around his mouth. "Yes, sir. I understand. Yes, she's still here." Nia watched through the glass partition as he paced behind his desk. His free hand moved through his hair, disrupting the careful styling. In the lobby, Evelyn maintained her smile, but it trembled at the corners. She busied herself with papers that did not need organizing. Her eyes kept darting toward Marcus's office, then away. Lydia felt her heartbeat in her fingertips. She processed a deposit without really seeing the numbers. The customer in front of her asked a question twice before Lydia heard it. Something was happening. The air in the branch had changed. Marcus ended the call and stood motionless for a moment. Then he straightened his tie, smoothed his jacket, and walked back into the lobby with a smile that looked painted on. He approached Naya. His voice was careful. "Miss Carter, I apologize for the confusion. Would you like to step into my office now?" Nia looked at him. She did not stand immediately. "Now is convenient?" she asked. "Yes, absolutely, please." He gestured toward the hallway. The movement was too eager, too anxious. Nia stood slowly, gathering her folder. She followed Marcus down the corridor, aware of the eyes watching her back. The lobby had gone quiet again, but this time the silence felt different. Marcus held his office door open. "Please, have a seat. Can I get you coffee? Water?" "No, thank you." Nia sat in the chair facing his desk. Marcus settled into his own chair and folded his hands on the polished wood surface. His smile was gentle, apologetic. "I want to apologize for the delay this morning," he said. There was clearly a miscommunication. "Was there?" Nia asked. "Yes, it seems your appointment wasn't properly entered into our system." "I see." Marcus opened a drawer and pulled out a notepad. "Why don't we start fresh? You mentioned Carter Lane Holdings?" "Yes." "And you're here regarding a partnership, a business acquisition?" "That's correct." "Wonderful. Can you tell me more about the nature of this partnership?" Nia felt tired suddenly. She had explained this already. At the desk, in front of the lobby, her credentials questioned, her purpose doubted. "The documents in this folder outline everything," she said. Financial projections, partnership terms, impact assessments. It was all sent to you last week. Marcus's smile flickered. Of course. I've been quite busy, so I may not have. Mr. Reed, Nia said. Her voice was quiet but firm. I was denied service at your reception desk. I was questioned about my identity and my documentation. I watched another customer be welcomed without hesitation while I was asked to prove my legitimacy. Marcus shifted in his chair. That was a misunderstanding. Evelyn is young. Sometimes she's overly cautious with new clients. Is that what you call it? Caution? She was following procedure. Nia leaned forward slightly. Her eyes held his. Who is procedure protecting? She asked. The question hung between them. Marcus's mouth opened, then closed. He looked down at his notepad, at the blank page waiting to be filled. We have to be careful, he said finally. You understand? Fraud is a real concern. And you thought I was committing fraud? No, not at all. It's just that without proper… Mr. Reed, the man who came in after me, Mr. Thompson, was he asked for additional documentation? Marcus's jaw tightened. That's different. How? He's a regular client. So the first time he walked into this branch, he was questioned, required to prove his legitimacy before receiving service? The silence stretched. Marcus stared at his hands. I didn't mean for you to feel unwelcome, he said. But I was unwelcome. That's the truth of it. Marcus looked up. His face was flushed. Ms. Carter, I run a good branch. We serve this community. We follow the rules. Whose rules? Nia asked. And who do those rules protect? Before Marcus could answer, there was a knock at the door. Lydia stood at her station, hands shaking as she closed out her last transaction. The customer thanked her and walked away. The lobby had thinned. Only a few people remained. Gloria Whitfield sat near the window, her purse on her lap, watching. She had been watching for 20 minutes, making no move to leave. Lydia felt Gloria's eyes on her. She tried to focus on her computer screen, but the numbers blurred. She had seen everything. The way Evelyn's voice had changed when Mr. Thompson arrived. The way Marcus had dismissed Nia's concerns with gentle cruelty. The way the lobby had turned away, choosing silence over witness. Lydia had been part of that silence. She had looked down. She had pretended her work required all her attention. She had protected herself at the cost of truth. Her chest felt tight. She thought of her mortgage, her daughter's college tuition, the retirement account she had built over 23 years at this branch. Speaking up meant risking all of it. Gloria stood and walked to Lydia's window. She did not have a transaction. She simply stood there, hands folded over her purse. You saw it, didn't you? Gloria asked. Her voice was low. Lydia's throat closed. She nodded. I saw it too, Gloria said. I've seen it before. Different people. Same pattern. I don't know what you mean, Lydia whispered. Yes, you do. Lydia felt tears threaten. She blinked them back. What am I supposed to do? Tell the truth, Gloria said. If someone asks, tell the truth. I could lose my job. You could lose your soul. The words were not unkind. Gloria spoke them gently, the way elders speak hard truths to people they care about. Lydia looked toward Marcus's office. She could see Nia through the glass, sitting straight and composed despite everything. She thought of her own daughter, the lessons she had tried to teach about integrity and courage, the conversations about standing up for what was right. Had Lydia been living those lessons, or just speaking them? If they ask, Lydia said quietly, I won't lie. Gloria's face softened. She reached across the counter and squeezed Lydia's hand. That's enough, she said. That's a start. The lobby doors opened. A man walked in, moving with quiet authority. He wore a dark suit and carried a briefcase. His eyes swept the room, assessing. Evelyn stood from the reception desk. "Good morning. How can I help you?" The man showed her his identification. "Daniel Cho, Regional Compliance. I'm here to speak with Marcus Reed." Evelyn's face went white. Daniel Cho did not waste time with pleasantries. He walked past Evelyn without waiting for direction, moving toward Marcus's office with the certainty of someone who knew exactly where to go. Marcus emerged from his office as Daniel approached. His smile was automatic but unconvincing. "Mr. Cho, this is unexpected." "Is it?" Daniel asked. He did not offer his hand. "We received a complaint. I'm here to investigate." "A complaint? I'm sure whatever it is, we can clear it up quickly." "I hope so." Daniel's voice was calm, professional, but underneath it was steel. "I'll need security footage from this morning, incident logs, staff statements." Marcus's face tightened. "Of course, though I'm not sure what incident." "The denial of service to a customer, Ms. Naya Carter." Marcus glanced toward his office where Naya still sat. "There was no denial, just a scheduling confusion." "Then the footage will confirm that." Daniel turned to Evelyn, who had followed him down the hallway. "You're the receptionist?" "Yes, Evelyn Hale." "You interacted with Ms. Carter this morning?" Evelyn's voice was small. "Yes." "I'll need your statement, written and signed." "I don't understand. Nothing happened. It was just—" "Policy?" Daniel asked. "I heard." Evelyn's mouth closed. She looked at Marcus, but Marcus was staring at Daniel. "Mr. Cho, I'm sure we can handle this internally," Marcus said. "There's no need to escalate." "It's already escalated," Daniel said. He pulled a folder from his briefcase and opened it. "Ms. Carter filed a formal complaint with our discrimination hotline. That triggers mandatory review. I don't have discretion here, neither do you." Marcus's hands curled into fists at his sides. "This is ridiculous. We serve everyone equally." "Then you have nothing to worry about." Daniel walked back toward Marcus's office. He knocked once, then opened the door. "Ms. Carter? I'm Daniel Cho, Regional Compliance Officer. May I speak with you?" Nia looked up. Her face showed no relief, no triumph, only a cautious attention. "Yes," she said. Daniel stepped inside and closed the door. Marcus stood in the hallway, frozen. Evelyn's hands shook. She tried to make herself small, backing toward the reception desk. In the lobby, Lydia watched it all unfold. Her breath caught. Gloria caught her eye and nodded slowly. The truth was coming, whether they were ready or not. Daniel sat across from Nia, his briefcase open on his lap. He pulled out a recorder and set it on Marcus's desk. "Ms. Carter, I'm going to record this conversation. Do I have your permission?" "Yes." "Thank you." He pressed record. "Please state your name and the purpose of your visit today." "My name is Naya Carter. I'm CEO of Carter Lane Holdings. I came here to finalize a partnership agreement with this branch regarding small business lending expansion." Daniel made notes. "And you had a scheduled appointment?" "Yes, 10 o'clock with Marcus Reed." "What happened when you arrived?" Nia recounted the morning without exaggeration. Her voice was steady, factual. She named what Evelyn said, what Marcus said, what she observed. She did not add interpretation or emotion. The facts were painful enough. Daniel listened without interrupting. He wrote occasionally, but mostly watched her face. When she finished, he nodded. "Thank you. That's very clear." Marcus had been hovering near the door. "Mr. Cho, may I respond?" "In a moment." Daniel turned back to Naya. "Ms. Carter, what outcome are you seeking?" Naya was quiet for a moment. She thought of the easy answer. An apology. Compensation. the satisfaction of watching them squirm. But that felt hollow. "I want this addressed in a way that outlasts today," she said. "I want to know that the next person who walks through those doors won't face what I faced." Daniel's expression shifted. Something close to respect flickered in his eyes. "Understood," he said. He stood and gestured to Marcus. "Mr. Reed, I'll need your statement now, in writing." Marcus followed Daniel out of the office. Nia remained in her chair, suddenly exhausted. Through the glass partition, she saw Lydia watching her. Their eyes met across the lobby. Lydia looked away first, but not before Nia saw recognition there. Guilt, maybe. Or kinship. The door to Marcus's office remained open. Nia could hear Daniel's voice, calm and insistent, asking questions that had no comfortable answers. She closed her eyes and breathed slowly. This was not over, but it had begun. Daniel stood in the lobby, his notebook open. Staff members had been called from their stations. Customers had been politely asked to return later. The branch felt suspended, waiting. "I need witness statements," Daniel said. "Anyone who observed the interaction between Ms. Carter and staff this morning." The silence was thick. Eyes found the floor. Feet shifted. Lydia felt her heart hammering. She thought of her daughter. She thought of Gloria's words. She thought of Naya sitting alone in that chair, dignity held together with visible effort. She stepped forward. Her voice shook but grew steadier as she spoke. "I saw what happened." Daniel turned to her. "Your name?" "Lydia Santos, Senior Customer Service Representative." "What did you observe?" Lydia's hands trembled. She clasped them together. "Ms. Carter arrived and requested to see Mr. Reed. She said she had an appointment. Evelyn questioned her extensively, asked for additional documentation." "Is that standard procedure?" Lydia hesitated. The lie would be easier, safer. "No," she said. "Not for everyone." Daniel wrote. "Go on." "A man came in after Ms. Carter, Mr. Thompson. Evelyn waved him through immediately. No questions, no documentation requested. She called him by his first name." "Did you hear the conversation between Ms. Carter and the reception desk?" "Some of it." Evelyn's voice got louder toward the end. She said the bank couldn't serve Ms. Carter today. "Did Mr. Reed intervene?" "Yes, he came out. He told Ms. Carter to come back this afternoon. When she asked to speak privately, he said not to make a scene." Daniel's pen moved across the paper. "Thank you, Ms. Santos." Lydia felt lightheaded. She had done it, said it aloud, made herself a target. Gloria Whitfield stood from her chair near the window. She walked forward slowly, leaning on her cane. "I saw it too," Gloria said. Her voice was tired but clear. "I've been banking here for 42 years. I've watched this happen before. Different faces, same treatment." Daniel looked at her. "Can you elaborate?" "Some people get smiles. Some people get questions. Some people belong. Some people have to prove it." Gloria's eyes found Marcus. "It's been true for as long as I've been coming here. I regret every time I stayed quiet." Marcus's face flushed dark. "Mrs. Whitfield, I think you're mischaracterizing—" "I'm not," Gloria said. "I'm finally telling the truth." Evelyn stood near the reception desk, her arms wrapped around herself. She stared at Lydia and Gloria with something between shock and betrayal. Daniel closed his notebook. "Thank you both. I'll need formal written statements from each of you." He turned to the room. "Is there anyone else who witnessed this incident?" More silence, but the silence felt different now. Not protective, just afraid. Daniel nodded. "All right, Mr. Reed, I'll need access to your security system. And Ms. Hale, you'll provide your statement now." Evelyn's voice was barely audible. "Yes, sir." As Daniel moved toward Marcus's office, Nia emerged. She looked at Lydia, then at Gloria. She did not smile, did not speak, but her eyes said enough. "Thank you." Daniel returned to Marcus's office with a laptop. Nia sat in the same chair, folder on her lap. Marcus stood behind his desk, defensive. "Ms. Carter," Daniel said, "for the formal record, can you confirm your full name and position?" "Nia Michelle Carter, Chief Executive Officer of Carter Lane Holdings." The words landed in the room with weight. Marcus's face drained of color. His mouth opened slightly. Daniel continued writing. "And Carter Lane Holdings is?" "A private equity firm focused on community development and small business lending. We're partnered with several regional banks to expand access to capital in underserved markets, including this branch." "That was the intention. We've been in discussions for 6 months. This meeting was to finalize the partnership agreement." Daniel looked at Marcus. "Were you aware of this partnership?" Marcus's voice was hoarse. "I knew about the Carter Lane deal. I didn't know—" He stopped. His hands gripped the edge of his desk. "You didn't know Miss Carter was the CEO," Daniel said. "No." "Why not?" "I assumed—" Marcus caught himself. He looked at Nia, then away. "I don't know." Nia felt no satisfaction in his shock, only a deep, sad weariness. "The partnership documents list my name clearly," she said. "My signature is on every page. My photograph is on our website. Our last call was on video." Marcus sat down heavily. "I remember the call. There were several people on it. I thought you were—" "An assistant?" Nia asked. "An analyst?" "I don't know what I thought." The silence stretched between them. Daniel's pen scratched across paper. In the lobby, word was spreading among the staff. Whispers traveled behind hands. Eyes went wide. Evelyn stood at the reception desk, her face white. She thought of every assumption she had made that morning, every question she had asked, every doubt she had performed. She thought of the folder Nia had placed on her desk, the professional clothing, the composed voice, the clear explanation. She thought of how easily she had decided Nia did not belong. Her stomach turned. Outside Marcus's office, tellers clustered together. One checked the Carter Lane Holdings website on her phone. Nia's face smiled back from the About page. Professional, accomplished, unmistakable. "Oh, God," the teller whispered. Daniel closed his notebook. "Mr. Reed, I'm placing this branch under preliminary review. All staff will participate in bias training. You'll submit a corrective action plan within 72 hours. Marcus's voice was strangled. "Mr. Cho, please. We didn't know." "That's the problem," Daniel said. He turned to Nia. "Ms. Carter, is there anything else you need from this meeting?" Nia looked at Marcus, at his pale face and shaking hands, at the fear that had replaced his earlier dismissal. "No," she said. "I think we're done here." Daniel instructed staff not to discuss the incident externally. He gathered statements. He downloaded security footage. He moved through the branch with quiet efficiency, documenting everything. Marcus returned to his office and sat in darkness. His phone buzzed with messages from corporate. He did not answer. Evelyn packed her desk slowly. She did not know if she was fired yet, but she felt the end approaching. Other staff avoided her eyes. Lydia sat at her station, hands still trembling. Gloria touched her shoulder in passing, a brief acknowledgement of shared courage. Nia stood in the lobby for a moment, looking at the space that had judged her. The marble floor still gleamed. The clock still ticked. Nothing had changed physically, but something had shifted beneath the surface. Daniel approached her. "Ms. Carter, thank you for your patience. We'll be in touch regarding next steps." "Thank you," Nia said. "For what it's worth, I'm sorry this happened." Naya nodded. She gathered her folder and walked toward the exit. Outside, the air felt cleaner. She stood beside her car, breathing deeply. Her phone buzzed. Tariq. Nia, tell me you're okay. I'm okay, she said. It's handled. Mostly. What do you need? Time. And maybe some distance. She ended the call and looked back at the bank. Through the glass doors, she could see Marcus in his office, head in his hands. She could see Evelyn sitting alone at the reception desk. She could see Lydia watching the exit, as if memorizing Nia's departure. It looked a victory. On paper, it was. The truth had been told. The incident documented. Consequences were coming. But Nia felt hollow. They were respectful now, yes. Daniel had ensured it. But respect born from fear was not the same as respect born from recognition. They knew her title. They feared her power. They understood the consequences of their mistake. But did they understand why it was wrong? Would they treat the next person differently if she had no title, no power, no ability to demand accountability? Naya got into her car. She sat for a long moment, hands on the steering wheel. She had won. But the victory tasted like ashes. She started the engine and drove away from the bank, from the town, from the morning that had revealed how easily dignity could be stripped away and how much power it took to reclaim it. The road ahead was empty. The sky was overcast. Nia drove and felt the sting remain. Word traveled through the town by evening. Nia sat in her hotel room, laptop open but untouched. Her phone buzzed with messages from Tariq, from her board members, from attorneys who smelled blood in the water. She ignored most of them. Outside her window, the town looked peaceful. Streetlights flickered on as dusk settled. Cars moved slowly down Main Street. Everything looked normal. But beneath the surface, something churned. Her phone rang. A number she didn't recognize. She answered carefully. Ms. Carter, this is Ellen Pritchard. I'm on the town council. Hello? I wanted to reach out personally. I heard about your experience at the bank today. Nia's chest tightened. News travels fast. In a small town, yes. Ellen's voice was smooth, practiced. I want you to know that's not who we are. That doesn't represent our values. Doesn't it? A pause. Some people feel you may have overreacted, that you escalated things unnecessarily. Nia felt the old anger rise, hot and familiar. I reported discrimination. That's not escalation. That's accountability. Of course. I'm just saying, there are ways to handle these situations quietly, for everyone's benefit. Quietly, Nia said. So nothing changes. So relationships aren't damaged beyond repair. Nia's breath caught. Mrs. Pritchard, I was denied service. I was humiliated publicly. And your concern is about damaged relationships. I'm concerned about this community, about good people losing their livelihoods over a misunderstanding. It wasn't a misunderstanding. Ellen's voice hardened slightly. This town takes care of its own, Ms. Carter. I hope you'll keep that in mind. The line went dead. Naya set her phone down with shaking hands. She stared at the laptop screen, at the unread emails piling up. Her eyes burned, but she did not cry. She had been here before, in different rooms, different towns, different battles. The same message delivered in 1,000 polite ways. Don't make trouble, don't make noise, accept the scraps of respect they offer and be grateful. Tariq called again. This time she answered. Let legal handle it, he said. You don't need to stay there. I'm not running. I'm not asking you to run. I'm asking you to protect yourself. From what? From fighting battles that drain you dry. Nia felt tears threaten. She blinked them back. If I leave, they win. They already lost, Nia. Daniel's report will bury them. That's not enough. What more do you want? She thought about that. What did she want? Public apologies? Firings? Money? None of it would heal the wound. I want them to understand, she said quietly. Not just fear consequences. Actually understand why what they did was wrong. Tariq was quiet for a moment. That's a tall order. I know. After they hung up, Nia sat in the growing darkness. She did not turn on the lights. She watched the town below, wondering how many conversations were happening right now, how many people were choosing sides, how many were deciding she was the problem. A sound at her door. She tensed. An envelope had been slipped underneath. White, unmarked. Nia walked to it slowly. She picked it up and opened it. The note inside was handwritten. Simple block letters. This town takes care of its own. Nia felt something shift in her chest. Not fear exactly, but a recognition of the cost ahead. She set the note on the desk and finally let herself cry. Lydia arrived at work the next morning to a different atmosphere. The usual greetings were absent. People looked past her instead of at her. The break room went silent when she entered. She poured coffee with trembling hands. Behind her, she heard whispers. Can't believe she turned on us. After 23 years. Some loyalty. Lydia's hands tightened on her mug. She turned to face them. I didn't turn on anyone, she said. I told the truth. Angela, one of the younger tellers, crossed her arms. You made us all look bad. I described what I saw. You threw Evelyn under the bus. Evelyn threw herself under the bus when she denied service to a qualified customer. She was following policy. Lydia's voice sharpened. Was Mr. Thompson following policy when he was waived? Through without question? The break room went quiet. Angela looked away. Lydia walked out, coffee untouched. At her station, she tried to focus on her work. Customers came and went. Most were polite. A few were not. An older man approached her window. Heard you helped that woman make trouble. Lydia felt her chest tighten. I gave a statement about what I observed. You know what they say about people who stir the pot? No. What do they say? The man leaned closer. His voice was low. They get burned. He walked away before she could respond. Lydia's hands shook. She made an error on the next transaction and had to start over. The customer sighed impatiently. At lunch, Marcus called her into his office. He closed the door behind her and gestured to a chair. Lydia sat, spine straight. Marcus settled behind his desk. His face was tired, drawn. Lydia, you've been with us a long time. 23 years. Right, 23 years of good service. You're valued here. Lydia waited. She knew what was coming. This situation with Ms. Carter, Marcus said carefully. It's complicated. There are a lot of perspectives. I shared mine. You did, and I appreciate your honesty. I do. He paused. But I wonder if perhaps, in the stress of the moment, some details might have been misremembered. Lydia felt cold spread through her chest. Misremembered. It's natural. Memory is tricky, especially when we're upset. I wasn't upset. I was watching. Still. Marcus leaned forward. His voice was gentle. If you were to review your statement, maybe clarify a few points, it could help smooth things over. Smooth things over for who? For everyone. The branch, the staff, you. Lydia looked at him, at his tired eyes and careful words. She thought of her mortgage, her daughter's tuition, the retirement she had built one paycheck at a time. She thought of Naya sitting alone in that chair, holding herself together with visible effort. She thought of Gloria's words. You could lose your soul. I remember exactly what happened, Lydia said quietly. Marcus's jaw tightened. Lydia, be smart about this. I am being smart. I'm choosing to live with myself. You're choosing to make this difficult. No, I'm choosing not to lie. The silence stretched between them. Marcus's face hardened. You should think carefully about your priorities, he said. Your career, your future here. I am thinking about them, just not in the way you want. Lydia stood. Her legs felt weak, but she kept her back straight. She walked to the door. Lydia, Marcus said. She turned. This won't be forgotten, he said. I know. She felt tears threaten but held them back. Neither will my silence, if I choose it. She left his office and returned to her station. Her hands still shook. Her breath came short, but something in her chest felt lighter. As if a weight she had carried for years had finally been set down. Evelyn went home that evening and stood in her kitchen, staring at nothing. Her mother called, but she did not answer. Her friends texted, but she did not reply. She poured a glass of wine and sat at her small dining table. The television was on, but she did not watch it. She kept seeing Naya's face. The calm, the composure, the way she had stood at that desk and refused to shrink. Evelyn had enjoyed that moment. She had felt powerful, deciding who belonged and who did not. She had felt justified, protecting the bank from potential fraud. But it had not been fraud. It had been a CEO trying to complete a legitimate business transaction. And Evelyn had stopped her. Publicly. Cruelly. Why? Evelyn closed her eyes and made herself ask the hard question. What had she seen when Naya walked through those doors? A young black woman in a nice suit. Professional. Composed. Confident. And Evelyn's first thought had been, prove it, not because of Naya's behavior, not because of any actual red flag, because of assumptions Evelyn had inherited like heirlooms, lessons learned at her grandmother's table, warnings whispered by her mother, unspoken rules about who could be trusted and who required scrutiny. Be careful, her mother had always said. You have to protect yourself. But what was Evelyn protecting herself from? A woman with documentation, an appointment, and a legitimate purpose, or was she protecting something else? A worldview where certain people belonged and others did not. Evelyn felt sick. She pulled out her phone and searched for Carter Lane Holdings. Naya's biography appeared. Stanford MBA, 10 years in private equity, board member of 3 nonprofits, recognized in Forbes 30 under 30. Evelyn had looked at that woman and seen only doubt. Her friend Rachel called. This time Evelyn answered. Evie, oh my God, are you okay? I heard what happened. Yeah, I'm fine. That woman had no right to get you in trouble. You were just doing your job. Evelyn felt her stomach turn. Was I? Of course you were. Banks have to be careful. Fraud is everywhere. She wasn't committing fraud, Rachel. You didn't know that. Didn't I? Evelyn's voice was quiet. She had identification. She explained her purpose. She had an appointment. Still, you can't be too careful with... Rachel stopped. With what? Evelyn asked. Say it. I didn't mean... Yes, you did. We both know what you meant. Rachel was quiet. Evie, you're being too hard on yourself. Am I? Or am I finally being honest? After Rachel hung up, Evelyn sat in the silence. She thought of every interaction she had at that desk. How easily she smiled at some people. How quickly she questioned others. How good it had felt to hold that small power. She thought of Mr. Thompson. She had waved him through without hesitation. No documentation requested. No appointment confirmed. Just his familiar face and easy manner. She thought of Naya. Questioned and doubted despite doing everything. Right. Evelyn stood and walked to her bathroom. She looked at herself in the mirror. Same face, same person she had always been. But she saw herself differently now. What did I think I was protecting? She whispered. The reflection had no answer. 3 days after the incident, Nia sat in her hotel room staring at her phone. Daniel had called that morning with an update. "The investigation supports your account completely," he said. "Security footage confirms everything. Witness statements are consistent." Okay. "The bank's legal team wants to discuss a settlement. They're prepared to offer compensation and a non-disclosure agreement." Nia felt her chest tighten. "They want to buy my silence. They want to resolve this quickly and quietly. So nothing changes." Daniel was quiet for a moment. "Ms. Carter, I understand your frustration, but this is a substantial offer, and moving forward with formal complaints, potential litigation, it's exhausting, both financially and emotionally. So I should take the money and let them continue treating people this way? They'll implement training, policy changes, that was already mandated. Training they'll resent, policies they'll work around, and in 6 months when no one's watching, they'll go back to their old habits. Maybe, maybe not. You can't control that." Nia felt tears threaten. "Then what was the point?" "The point is you stood up. You reported it. You made them face consequences. That matters." "Does it?" Her voice broke slightly. "If I walk away now, what lesson do they learn? That discrimination has a price tag? That if you get caught, you just write a check?" Daniel sighed. "What do you want, Miss Carter?" Nia closed her eyes. What did she want? Justice felt too grand. Revenge felt too hollow. Change felt too uncertain. She wanted them to understand, to actually feel the weight of what they had done, to carry that understanding forward. But could she make that happen? Or would she exhaust herself trying to force growth that could only come from within? Her phone buzzed. Another call coming in. Gloria Whitfield. "Daniel, I need to go," Nia said. "Think about the settlement. You've already won, in the ways that matter." Nia switched calls. "Mrs. Whitfield?" "Nia." Gloria's voice was warm. "How are you holding up?" "I'm tired." "I imagine so. This kind of fight takes everything." "The bank wants to settle. Make this go away quietly." "I see." Gloria was quiet for a moment. "What does your heart say?" Nia felt the tears finally come. "That I should walk away. That I've done enough. That I can't fix people who don't want to be fixed." "Your heart is wise. But if you leave now, they'll learn the wrong lesson. They'll think silence can be purchased, that accountability has limits." "I'm so tired, Mrs. Whitfield." "I know, sweetheart. I know." Gloria's voice was gentle. "But you're not alone in this. Lydia spoke up. I spoke up. There are people here who want better, who are willing to do the harder work." Nia wiped her eyes. "What if it's not enough?" "It might not be, but it's something, and sometimes something is all we can offer." After they hung up, Nia sat in the growing darkness. She thought of Lydia's courage, Gloria's steadiness, the cost they had paid for truth. She thought of every person who would walk into that bank after her, who would be measured and judged and questioned based on nothing but appearance. She thought of the easy path, the settlement, the silence, the ability to walk away and let someone else carry this burden. And she thought of the harder path, public accountability, visible change, the exhausting, uncertain work of trying to shift a culture that preferred comfort to justice. Her phone lit up with another text from Tariq. "Whatever you decide, I support you." Nia made her choice. She called Daniel back. "I'm not taking the settlement," she said. "Nia, I want a public forum. I want community accountability. I want measurable change that everyone can see. That's going to be difficult. I know. Her voice was steady now. "But it's necessary." She ended the call and looked out at the town, at the lights flickering in windows, at the streets she had been made to feel unwelcome on. This was going to cost her. Time, energy, peace of mind, but silence would cost her more. She sat down at her laptop and began to write. Not an angry screed, not a demand for vengeance, just a clear statement of what happened and what needed to change. When she finished, she read it over once, then twice, then she pressed send. The community forum was scheduled for the following week. The bank's conference room was too small, so they moved it to the town hall. Rows of chairs filled quickly. People came from curiosity, from concern, from the desire to witness history being made. Naya arrived early. She wore the same navy suit she had worn to the bank. Her folder was in her hands. Tariq had flown in to support her. He stood near the back, watching the room fill. Lydia sat in the third row, hands folded in her lap. Gloria sat beside her, a steady presence. Marcus entered through a side door, flanked by corporate representatives. His face was drawn. He did not look at anyone. Evelyn was not there. She had been instructed not to attend. Daniel stood at the front, organizing papers. He looked out at the crowd and felt the weight of the moment. At 7 o'clock, he called the meeting to order. "Thank you all for coming," he said. "We're here tonight for a community accountability session regarding an incident at the Riverside branch. This is not a legal proceeding. It's an opportunity for truth-telling and repair." He gestured to Naya. "Ms. Carter has agreed to share her experience. Then we'll hear from staff and community members. Please listen with open hearts and minds." Nia stood. Her legs felt weak, but she kept her back straight. She walked to the front and faced the room. All those eyes, watching, judging, waiting. She took a breath and began. "My name is Naya Carter. I'm 30 years old. I'm CEO of Carter Lane Holdings. Last week I came to your bank to finalize a partnership that would bring jobs and resources to this community." Her voice was steady. She did not rush. She did not perform emotion. She simply told the truth. "I was denied service. I was questioned about my legitimacy. I was asked to prove I belonged. And when I requested private conversation, I was told not to make a scene." She described Evelyn's questions, Marcus's dismissal, the cut-in that revealed how easily access was granted to some and withheld from others. "I sat in that lobby for 47 minutes, she said, holding my folder, breathing slowly, trying not to cry, wondering what I had done wrong." Her voice caught slightly. The answer was nothing. I had done nothing wrong, but I was treated as if my presence was suspicious, as if my credentials required extra verification, as if belonging was something I had to earn while others received it freely. She looked at Marcus. He stared at his hands. "This isn't about one person's cruelty," Nia said. "It's about a system that makes some people prove their worth while accepting others without question. It's about who gets the benefit of the doubt and who gets interrogated. It's about who walks through doors easily and who gets stopped at the threshold." She paused. "I'm not here to destroy anyone. I'm here to stop a pattern, to make sure the next person who walks into that bank is treated with dignity, not because they have a title, not because they have power, but because dignity should never require credentials." She sat down. The room was silent. Daniel stood. "Thank you, Ms. Carter. Now we'll hear from staff." Lydia rose slowly. Her voice shook at first, but grew steadier. "I've worked at that branch for 23 years, she said. "I've seen patterns. Some people get smiled at, some people get questioned. I told myself it wasn't my business, that I was just doing my job." She looked at Naya. "But silence is a choice, and I've been choosing wrong for a long time. I saw what happened to Ms. Carter. I saw the difference in how she was treated versus how Mr. Thompson was treated, and I knew it was wrong. Her voice broke. I'm ashamed it took this long. I'm ashamed I didn't speak up before. But I'm speaking now, and I won't be silent again. She sat down. Gloria squeezed her hand. Gloria stood next. Her voice was tired, but clear. I'm 66 years old, she said. I've banked at Riverside for 42 years. I've watched this town change and resist change in equal measure. She looked around the room. We like to think we're good people, that our intentions matter more than our actions. But good intentions don't heal the harm we cause. Ms. Carter was humiliated in a place that should have welcomed her business, and every person who watched it happen and said nothing shares responsibility. The room shifted uncomfortably. We measure a town by who it lets through the door, Gloria said. Right now we're failing that measure. The question is whether we're brave enough to do better. She sat down. The room held its collective breath. Then, from the back, a woman stood. Middle-aged. Nervous. My name is Patricia Chen, she said. I came to that bank 3 years ago to open a business account. I'm an architect. I had all my paperwork. But I was questioned extensively, asked to provide additional documentation, made to feel I didn't belong. Her voice shook. I opened my account somewhere else. But I've carried that humiliation for 3 years, wondering what I did wrong, wondering if I imagined it. She looked at Nia. Thank you for not staying quiet. Another person stood, then another. Stories poured out. Small humiliations, subtle dismissals, the slow accumulation of doubt that came from being questioned when others were not. Marcus listened with his head bowed. Each story landed like a stone. Finally, Daniel stood. Mr. Reed, do you want to respond? Marcus rose slowly. His face was pale. I built my career on keeping things calm, on avoiding conflict, on making sure everything looked professional and polished. He looked at Nia. I didn't know calm could be cruel. I didn't understand that avoiding conflict meant ignoring injustice. I told you not to make a scene, but the scene was already happening. I just didn't want to see it. His voice broke. I'm sorry. It's not enough, but it's true. I'm sorry. Daniel nodded. Thank you. Now... The door at the back opened. Everyone turned. Evelyn walked in. Evelyn moved slowly down the aisle. Her face was pale. Her hands shook. She stopped at the front and turned to face the room, to face Nia. I wasn't supposed to come tonight, she said. Her voice was barely audible. I was told to stay away, to let this play out without me. She took a breath. But staying away felt cowardly. I did this. I need to face it. She looked at Nia. Miss Carter, I'm sorry. Not the I'm sorry you felt hurt kind of sorry. I'm sorry for what I did, for how I treated you, for the assumptions I made. Tears ran down her face. You walked into that bank as a professional. You explained your purpose clearly. You had documentation. You did everything right. And I questioned you. I made you prove yourself in ways I would never require from someone who looked more familiar. Her voice broke. I told myself I was following policy, but policy was just an excuse. The truth is I used my position to decide who belonged and who didn't, and I based that decision on prejudice I'd carried so long I didn't even recognize it. She wiped her eyes. I can't take it back. I can't undo the humiliation I caused. All I can do is name it honestly and commit to being different. Not because I got caught, not because I'm afraid of consequences, but because what I did was wrong, and I need to carry that. She turned to the room. If you're sitting here thinking you would never do what I did, I hope you're right. But I thought that too. I thought I was a good person, fair, kind, professional. Her voice hardened with something close to anger at herself. But I learned good intentions mean nothing when your actions cause harm. I learned you can be polite and cruel at the same time. I learned that the biggest danger isn't obvious racism. It's the subtle kind. The kind you don't even see in yourself. She looked back at Naya. I don't expect your forgiveness. I just wanted you to know I see it now. What I did. Why it was wrong. And I'm going to spend a long time making sure I never do it again. She sat down in an empty chair. The room was silent. Nia felt something shift in her chest. Not forgiveness exactly, but a recognition that this, at least, was real. Daniel cleared his throat. Thank you, Miss Hale. That took courage. He looked at the room. Now we need to talk about what comes next. Acknowledgement is important, but it's not enough. We need structural change. Daniel outlined the consequences. Staff restructuring, mandatory bias training with measurable outcomes, a community advisory board to review complaints, protection for whistleblowers like Lydia. Mr. Reed will be placed on probationary review, Daniel said. His continued employment depends on demonstrated leadership reform. Marcus nodded, accepting. And Ms. Hale has been terminated from her position at the bank. Evelyn flinched but said nothing. However, Daniel continued, termination alone doesn't create growth. Ms. Hale will be required to complete a restorative justice program and community service pathway. Upon completion, she may reapply for employment in the banking industry, not at Riverside but elsewhere. Her future depends on the work she chooses to do. Evelyn looked up, surprised. It was not forgiveness, but it was a doorway, narrow and difficult, but open. Naya stood. I have a condition. Daniel gestured for her to continue. Lydia Santos's job must be protected. Her statement must be formally recognized and valued. She should not face retaliation for telling the truth. Daniel nodded. Agreed. That will be documented. Nia looked at Lydia. Thank you for your courage. It mattered. Lydia's eyes filled with tears. She nodded. Gloria stood. I'd like to propose a community lending advisory council, made up of people from different backgrounds who can help the bank understand the communities it serves, who can flag problems before they become patterns. Daniel made a note. I'll recommend that to corporate. A man in the back raised his hand. What about the partnership? Is that still happening? All eyes turned to Nia. She thought about it. The easy answer was no. Walk away. Take her business elsewhere. Let this bank fail as consequence. But failure without learning was just punishment. And Nia wanted more than revenge. The partnership will proceed, she said, on the condition that all these changes are implemented and monitored. This can't be performance. It has to be real. Relief flooded Marcus's face. Then shame. He stood. Miss Carter, I don't know how to thank you. Don't thank me, Naya said. Just do better, not because I'm watching, because it's right. The meeting ended slowly. People stood and talked in clusters. Some approached Naya to thank her. Others left quickly, uncomfortable with what had been revealed. Marcus approached her last. Ms. Carter, she turned. I'm sorry, he said. I mean that. I know you do, but sorry isn't the end point. It's the beginning. I understand. He hesitated. Can I ask you something? What? Why didn't you walk away? After everything? Why fight for change here? Nia was quiet for a moment. Because silence teaches the wrong lesson. Because the next person deserves better. Because justice isn't a moment, it's a practice. Marcus nodded slowly. I won't forget that. Good, Nia said. Don't. 6 weeks later, Naya returned to the town. The air was cooler now, carrying the scent of autumn. The maple tree in the bank parking lot had turned gold. She walked through the glass doors into a lobby that felt different. Subtle changes. A new training certificate on the wall. A diversity statement posted near the teller windows. A community suggestion box by the door. Lydia looked up from her station and smiled. "Miss Carter, welcome back." "Thank you." Nia approached her window. "How are things?" "Different," Lydia said. "Better, I think. Slower, we're all learning." "That's how change works." A new receptionist sat at the front desk. Young, nervous. She smiled at Nia without suspicion. Marcus emerged from his office. He looked tired, but more present somehow. "Miss Carter, thank you for coming. Let's finalize this partnership." They sat in his office with corporate representatives joining by video. The signing took 20 minutes. Papers passed back and forth. Signatures applied. Handshakes exchanged. When it was done, Marcus walked her to the door. The advisory council had its first meeting last week. Gloria Whitfield is chairing it. How did it go? Uncomfortable. Necessary. He paused. We're identifying patterns we never saw before, or didn't want to see. That's the work, Nia said. Outside, she found Lydia on her lunch break, sitting on a bench near the parking lot. Mind if I join you? Nia asked. Please. They sat in companionable silence for a moment. The town moved around them. Normal, ordinary, changed in ways only they could measure. I heard from Evelyn, Lydia said. She's halfway through her restorative program, working at a community center, teaching financial literacy. How is she? Struggling, but genuine, I think. She sent me a letter, apologized for putting me in that position. Did you forgive her? Lydia thought about it. I'm working on it. Forgiveness is harder than anger, but maybe more important. Nia nodded. She understood that. The difficulty of letting go, the work of choosing repair over resentment. Thank you, Lydia said suddenly, for not walking away. Thank you for speaking up. That took more courage than anything I did. I don't know about that. You risked a lot. So did you. Your job, your relationships, your peace. Lydia smiled. I sleep better now. That's worth something. Nia laughed. It's worth everything. Months passed. The leaves fell and snow followed. The bank continued its work. Some changes were visible, others were subtle. Staff trained and retrained. The advisory council met monthly. Complaints were reviewed seriously. It wasn't perfect. Old habits surfaced. People slipped into comfortable assumptions. But now there were systems to catch it. Voices willing to speak up. Accountability that persisted beyond the initial moment. Evelyn completed her program. She applied for a position at a credit union 2 towns over. She was honest in her interview about what she had done and what she had learned. They hired her conditionally. She worked hard to earn their trust. She and Nia never became friends. But Evelyn sent a card on the anniversary of that morning with a simple message. I remember. I'm still learning. Nia kept the card. Not as absolution, as evidence that change was possible when people chose discomfort over denial. Gloria passed away the following spring. The advisory council named itself in her honor. Her obituary mentioned her courage in speaking truth when silence was easier. Lydia read it at the memorial service, crying openly. Marcus was eventually promoted to regional manager. He built his new role around the lessons he had learned. When people asked for his advice on difficult situations, he always said the same thing. Calm can be cruel. Don't confuse quiet with right. Lydia trained new staff with firm gentleness, teaching them not just procedures but principles. She told Nia's story often, making sure each person understood what discrimination looked like in its polite form. The partnership thrived. Small businesses received funding. Jobs were created. The community grew in ways both economic and moral. And Nia visited periodically, not as a victor, but as a partner. She watched the changes take root and felt something close to peace. 2 years after that morning, Naya stood at the window where she had once sat holding herself together. The same maple tree grew outside. The same marble floor gleamed beneath her feet. But the space felt different. Not because of plaques or certificates, because of practice. The daily choice to see people fully, to question assumptions, to grant dignity as default rather than reward. A young woman entered the bank, dressed professionally, folder in hand. She approached the reception desk with visible nervousness. The receptionist smiled, warmly. "Good morning. How can I help you today?" "I'm here to open a business account." "Wonderful. What kind of business?" "Tech startup. I'm the founder." "That's exciting. Let me get you set up. This should take about 20 minutes. Would you like water or coffee while we work?" The young woman's shoulders relaxed. "Thank you. That would be nice." Nia watched the exchange. Simple, ordinary. Exactly how it should have always been. Lydia appeared beside her. "Seeing something good?" "Yeah," Nia said. "I think I am. It's not perfect. We still make mistakes. But you catch them. You correct them. You try." "We do." Lydia smiled. "Because someone taught us the cost of not trying." Nia felt tears threaten, but they were different now. Not from pain, but from something closer to gratitude. She thought of that morning 2 years ago. The humiliation, the anger, the choice to stay rather than flee, the exhausting work of demanding accountability when silence would have been easier. She thought of all the conversations since, the uncomfortable truths, the slow shifts, the people who had chosen growth over comfort. It had cost her time, energy, peace of mind, moments when she wanted to walk away and let someone else carry the burden. But standing here now, watching a young woman be treated with immediate respect, Nia felt the weight lift slightly. Justice wasn't a moment. It was a practice. Daily, imperfect, ongoing. And sometimes, when you chose the harder path, you got to witness the fruit of that choice. Got to see the world shift, inch by inch, toward something better. Naya walked toward the exit. Lydia walked with her. "Same time next month?" Lydia asked. "Same time next month." Outside, the autumn air was crisp and clean. The town moved around her with its ordinary rhythm. She thought of the note slipped under her door. This town takes care of its own. She had proven them wrong. Not by destroying the town, by forcing it to expand its definition of its own. To recognize that belonging wasn't something to be granted by gatekeepers but a right held by everyone who walked through the door. Nia got into her car. She looked at the bank one last time. The building looked the same. But the story inside had changed. She started the engine and pulled out of the parking lot. The maple tree's branches waved gently in the breeze. The street stretched ahead, familiar now. Naya drove away from the town, but not away from the work. The work continued. In other branches, other towns, other moments where dignity would need defending. But today, in this place, the work had taken root, and that was enough. She finally knew it was enough.